Hey everyone, it's Jayla, and I am just noticing how messy my shelves are right now. Things are in disarray. So today I'm going to be wrapping up everything that I read in May, which was like the longest month of the year so far, and for multiple reasons I'm sure you can probably guess. And in this long month, I read 5 books. I should have read 6, but I didn't quite get there because I failed. I also didn't end up posting a wrap-up vlog for Asian Readathon. I was supposed to post a week 3 and a week 4 vlog, but I was going to combine them, and then when I was like putting it together and like filming the clips for it, I was just not feeling it anymore. Not like I wasn't feeling the readathon, but just like I wasn't feeling the vlogs. I didn't like what I was putting into them. So I decided not to post week 3 and 4. So no week 3 and 4 vlog, but I'm wrapping everything up here obviously, and I'll talk about my thoughts and feelings. It was overall a pretty successful Asian readathon, but I didn't end up getting to my last book, unfortunately, so that'll be in this month's wrap-up, I guess. So I read 3 books for the Asian readathon, and I'll just go through them in the order that I read them. The first one I read was Want by Cindy Pon, and this book I had mixed feelings about it. Just as a refresher, this book is basically about a kid, or like, he's like 20-something. He's like 22 now? 19? I don't remember. So he's like this 20-something kid, and he's living in Taiwan, in a futuristic version of Taiwan where technology has definitely advanced a lot more, but also it's only advanced for the wealthy people. It's only like being served to the wealthy people, if that makes sense. And so obviously with this kind of technological advancement, that means that there's going to be more climate issues, more pollution in the air, and so in this new futuristic Taiwan, pollution is just terrible. You basically can't even have a good quality of life unless you have enough money to buy these suits, which is like depicted on the cover, these suits that people wear to like protect them from the bad quality of the air. And so there's this boy, he's poor, he has no one, his mother's died, his father, I can't remember what happened to him, but anyway, basically he's alone. So basically due to a series of very tragic events, he ends up just becoming a part of this heist to kind of overthrow this corporation that is creating as much problems as it is fixing, because yes, you can give people suits, but if they don't have a place where they can live, how do you expect them to really sustain life that way? So yeah, this is a heist book. I was very excited to read it, but honestly, it didn't really hit for me. I just felt like the people who were supposed to be a part of this heist, and it's only from one perspective, maybe that's one of the issues I had with it, but we have Jason's perspective, and then like he's with his friends and they're all trying to overthrow this corporation, and it just didn't feel very real. I didn't feel like I connected to the other characters. I didn't see how they were all connected to each other, why they wanted to do this together, and how they were so sure that this could work, because honestly there were a lot of skilled characters in here, but like the fact that they could make some super team that's just going to easily get past all this like advanced technology, I don't know. Just didn't feel very real. But I really did like the story overall. I was just bothered by some elements of it. So yeah, that's all I have to say about this, I think. I think I ended up giving it 3 stars. Because it is a good book. It's not bad, and it was interesting, and the world is so cool, and not, I mean, cool in a bad way, like cool, like, oh, this is crazy. But I wanted more from it, I feel like. I wanted more from the heist element of it, and I wanted more page-wise, because it's a very short book. It's like 300 and something pages. So, yeah, not my favorite. I would still recommend reading it, and I know Jesse the reader actually really likes this book, so it's just a me thing. Don't take my opinion to heart. Just go for it if you find it interesting, and it might be your favorite book too. The next book I read was The Gilded Wolves by Roshni Chokshi, and I have to say that I did not like this book. And that's really sad to me. I love Roshni Chokshi. I think she's very talented. I've read her first book, The Star-Touched Queen, and I think her writing is beautiful, and the story was like this Indian mythology story, I believe. So it was just interesting learning about that culture. And this one, I just didn't feel as interested. I don't know what was going on with me when I was reading this, actually. Like, that's why I don't feel fully comfortable really rating this book. I don't think I have a rating for it on Goodreads, because I just wasn't into it. I did not enjoy reading it, and I suffered through it to get to the end because I wanted to finish it, but I just didn't connect to the characters. I didn't care about anything that was happening. I felt like it was so forced. The funniness, the humor of it was just very forced. I don't know why I didn't like this. I've seen that this book has mixed reviews from a lot of people, so I'm not the only one who's like had hard feelings towards it, but For me, it's not even that I didn't like it. I know I said that earlier, but I don't mean that I didn't like it. I just didn't care. And that's not something I usually experience, because I can hate a book or I can love a book, but to just not really care about it at all, that's weird to me. This is another book that has kind of a heist example, or like a hodgepodge group of friends who like come from all these different backgrounds and then somehow end up kind of just having this really strong friendship and then doing something together that's trying to like overthrow something else, or basically just like right or wrong or something. And it was just another example of I don't believe these characters really care about each other in that way. Or not that I don't believe they care, but like I just don't see how. Like, why do you care about these people? How did you guys become friends? I don't get it. I will say something that I did really enjoy about this book was the fact that it spoke a lot about racism and about stereotypes and being a woman. I think there was even a neurodivergent character in here. And all of those things are things that opened really interesting discussions. There's a character in here named Enrique who is Filipino, but he's on the lighter side, so people say he looks more Spaniard. And so it talks about how Enrique really wants to be a part of this secret Filipino society, and there's basically all these like well-established Filipino men in there, and he so desperately wants to fit in, but they don't consider him one of them because of his skin. And there are definitely a lot of microaggressions towards Enrique, so those kinds of things are addressed in here. There's a character in here named Layla who is Indian, and she actually has a very interesting backstory. It's one of the few characters that I cared about. And they have to do a heist at some point where they are disguised as other people, and everyone else gets these like, oh, you have to be this heiress, you have to be this governor, da-da-da-da-da, and then Layla has to be a maid because... Oh, are you filming? I am. So she ends up having to be disguised as a maid because that's what people expect. Like, you don't look too closely at what you expect to see, you know? So again, just really good messages about stereotypes and racism, and I really respected the conversations that they had in this book, but I just did not like this book. And I feel like, I don't know, I just haven't been on much of a fantasy kick this year, so maybe it's that. Maybe I need to give this a read in the future when I feel more like reading fantasy, but I just did not. Just away. The next book I read for Asian Readathon was Soft Science by Franny Choi, and I really wish you could see the stunning cover. Always too washed out. There we go. But anyway, so this book is a poetry collection by Franny Choi. She's written plenty of collections in the past, but this is the first one I've ever picked up by her, and I just bought it because I loved the cover, and ooh, it was just so pretty. And so I finally read it, and it was... And I do like poetry. I'm not like a super hardcore fan, so maybe a super hardcore fan would love this, but for me, I did not like this book that much. I gave it 3 stars just because I think that the premise itself was really interesting. Some of the poems were really brilliant, and I did love them. So it's not like the whole collection itself I didn't enjoy, but I was just like, other things went way over my head. I don't even know like what they were trying to say. So I can explain the premise a little bit. This is a poetry collection that explores queer Asian American femininity, which I definitely got a sense of, but I totally took that from the synopsis on Goodreads. And so it's really interesting because she combines kind of automation, technology, and these kinds of like technical terms and uses them to write about that topic. It's very much talking about erasure and gender and violence and all of these things, and it's really interesting, and it definitely has some strong messages. I feel like somebody really hurt her in the past though, and if not, she's just good at writing very raw experiences. So unfortunately, I didn't love this just because it was very hard for me to unravel everything that was going on in it, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't great poetry, and I think that Franny Choi is very talented. I'm just dumb. So that's everything I read for Asian Readathon. I was supposed to finish The Three-Body Problem as well. Unfortunately, I did not finish that. I have only gotten I am more than halfway through it, but I still have a good chunk to go. So I have to finish this in June, I guess, which is fine, but I'm just like, I failed. So the next thing I read in May was The Ballot of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. I have an entire video dedicated to what I felt about this book, and you should go watch it, even though it is like 24 minutes long. I'm sorry. I just have a lot of thoughts and feelings, but overall I gave this 4 stars. I think this book isn't up to the same standards as the original trilogy, but it's still good, I think. I know some people don't agree with me. That's okay. But I really liked this book until we got to like page 300, and then it took a different turn. So I gave it 4 stars because it lost me in that 3rd act, but honestly I feel like the writing was still the Suzanne Collins writing we love and know. And the plot was still something that kept me wanting to read and like turn the pages to see what was going on until we got to part 3. So, yeah, overall, I really did enjoy this book. I thought it was interesting, especially just if you are as in love with the Hunger Games world as I am, and you learn so much through it. But yeah, I talk about all the flaws I feel like I had with the book in that review that I filmed, so please go watch it, because it is, I think, a very good one. And the last thing I read in May was The Picture of Dorian Gray, and I have been reading this book since February, you guys. I talked about this in my April wrap-up, actually, because I said that that was the day that I was going to finish this book, and I didn't. So yeah, just if anyone is new to this channel, which a lot of you are, because in April I had very few subscribers. Also, hi, welcome to all the new people. I haven't said that yet. Hi. But yeah, I started this February 14th, Valentine's Day exactly. I had it as an ebook on my phone, and I would just kind of read it when I was going to sleep at night. So it took me a long time to really get through it. But then we got to chapter 11, which, again, I talked about all that in my April wrap-up, so go watch that. And then I stopped reading it for a long time, and I finally finished The Picture of Dorian Gray. And was it worth it? I'm gonna say no. I gave this book 2 stars, didn't really like it. I liked it a lot at first, and then everything that happened, it lost me. I just think that we had a whole lot of build-up for nothing, and that might have been also because my friend told me, like, oh, everything goes crazy in chapter 12 or chapter 11 or whatever. It didn't. No, like, it wasn't anything I wasn't expecting. I don't know. I thought it was going to be worse than it was. I was really waiting for Dorian to become this really unlikable person, and, like, I know he is unlikable. It's not that I liked him, I just mean, like, I didn't hate him at the end of it. I just thought, oh, he doesn't do the greatest stuff. I think the premise of this book is great, but the execution of it was very not great, and I just felt like I wasted a lot of time trying to finish something that didn't have a satisfying ending. The ending of this book just felt like, oh, that's it? That's all we're doing? Okay. So yeah, I know this is a lot of people's favorite classic. Please, educate me. Tell me why, because I don't see it. Okay, this is everything that I read in May. Thank you so much for watching, and it hasn't been the strongest reading month, which was unfortunate, just because I didn't love everything I read, and also I went from reading 9 books last month to reading 5 books this month, but I kind of knew that would happen. I'm actually taking a course now, and I have 2 more weeks of it, in which I'm studying the publishing industry through magazine and book publishing, so I'll be doing that for a bit, and with all the protests going on that I've been attending, but also just like keeping up with, I've also been busy with that. So it's a lot. Everything is going on at once. And I decided to start a bookstagram also. So go follow me on my bookstagram, because I realized, I should probably connect with people outside of YouTube if I really want to, like, connect with people. So yeah, LalaLovesLit on Instagram. And even if you want, you can go follow me on Goodreads. It's just my name, Jayla Luder. So feel free to go do that. I am done talking. Bye. Thanks for watching. So I just got a message that a girl went to a dance protest, and I have to know what that is, so I'm gonna stop filming.